This video covers the Lesson 9-2 warm-up for Secondary 1 Math. Number 1, we're going to show that the polygons are congruent by identifying all the congruent corresponding parts. Then write the congruence statement. So when we start this, we're looking for the same number of arcs or tick marks going around the shapes. In this case, these two triangles. So first, I'm going to pick one angle. So I'll choose angle A. I look over and I notice that angle A only has one arc, and so the one arc in the other triangle is angle D. So angle A is congruent to angle D. Those are congruent corresponding parts. Then I look at the next, so I have angle B. And angle B has two arcs. Angle C also has two arcs, so angle B is congruent to angle C. Now we have to be careful about this third angle with angle E, because angle E has 1, 2, 3, 4 possible arcs, 4 possible angles. So we have to use 3 letters to clarify which angle we're referring to. So we can say that angle AEB, and that means this angle in red, A to E to B, this angle created there, is congruent to angle, I'm going to do this in yellow, since we started with A, we're going to go D to E to C. So angle D, E, C. Now we're going to identify the congruent corresponding sides, and in this case we're going to look at the tick marks. So first we have the side from, let's say, A to B. So segment AB has 2 tick marks, and side DC has 2 tick marks. Notice I chose D because it corresponds to A, so it'll be DC in that order. So segment AB is congruent to segment DC. Next, the one tick mark I see between C and E and also B and E. So we're going to go BE, segment BE is congruent to segment CE. Then we have the last one, so segment AE is congruent to segment DE. Now writing our congruent statement, we're going to talk about the triangle, so we use a symbol for a triangle, and then I just make my way around. So I'll say ABE is congruent to triangle DCE. Remember, same order. So corresponding parts are in the same spot in each of those triangle statements. Okay, number 2, quadrilateral CDEF is congruent to quadrilateral OPMN. So we want to figure out what N is equal to. So to set this up, I notice that N is right here where E, angle E is, and that's 4 N's plus 8. And I know that it's congruent to something in the other quadrilateral. And since E is the third letter, we know it's congruent to where M is. And M, right here, is a 90-degree angle. So I know that 4N's plus 8 equals 90. And then I can solve my equation by subtracting 8 from both sides, which gives us 4N's is equal to 82. And then we could divide by 4 again, and then that would give us 20.5. Now for V, I notice that V is in the angle measurement for O, and O is the first letter in our second quadrilateral, and C is the first letter in our first quadrilateral, so that's got to be equal to 148 degrees. So my equation will be 15 V's minus 2 equals 148. And again, we're just going to solve the equation. Here I'm going to add 2 to both sides, so I get 150 is equal to 15 V's. Divide by 15, so I'm dividing by 15, and that gives us 10. So V equals 10. Now to find the measure of angle E, we just look at what E is congruent to. Angle E is congruent to angle M, and angle M is 90 degrees. So the measurement of angle E is 90 degrees. The measurement of angle N, if we look over here, this is angle N, And that's congruent to, that's the last one. Last one over in the first quadrilateral was F, so it's congruent to F, and F is 90 degrees, so the measure of angle N is 90 degrees. The measure of angle O is right over here in the blue circle, and so that's the same as C, and C is 148 degrees, so the measure of angle O is 148 degrees. Now, the measure of angle P is a little bit different because we don't know that one. We don't know D or P, because those are congruent angles, but we do know that if we take the 90 and add the other 90, these are for angles E and F, E and F, and then C we know is 148, so if we add those all up, we get that would be 328 degrees. Since we have a quadrilateral, all the angles, or the sum of the angles, is 360 degrees. So we're going to take 360, we're going to subtract the 328, and we get that's 32. So that means that the measurement of angle P is 32 degrees. And now we can find the last few, and here we're going to talk about side lengths and comparing side lengths. So B, let's look at B here in yellow. B is the CD, and that's congruent. So CD is the first two. That's OP, which is right here. So that's 11. So we're going to have 4B's minus 5 equals 11. So to solve, we add 5 to both sides. We get 4B's equals 16. And then we're going to divide by 4 to get rid of our multiplication by 4. And we get that B is equal to 4, because 16 divided by 4 is 4. Now to solve for R. R is found on the side ED and the side PM. And these are also congruent side lengths, so they're the same length. So we know that 3R's plus 2 equals 7R's minus 8. Now I'm going to subtract 3R's, and I'm going to put two steps together here. And I'm also going to add the 8. And that will get rid of our R's on the left side, get rid of the 8 on the right side, and we get 10 is equal to 4R's. Then we divide by 4, and we get that R is 2.5. Now the last one, ED. We want to find ED. Well, since we know R is 2.5, we're going to substitute 2.5 in for R in 3 times R plus 2. So instead of R, we put 2.5. And then we're going to add 2 to that. So that's going to give us the length of ED, which is 9.5 units. This concludes the video for the warm-up of Lesson 9.2 in Secondary 1 Math.